And we're live. Alright, so we are back in Satisfactory. Last time we were constructing this gigantic train network all the way around the approximate outside of the map, with the goal of having a way of distributing all the raw resources to wherever we might need them. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is completely unrelated to that. I am going to buy the manual depot uploader. Huzzah. 3 Mercer spheres well spent. I actually think I've never unlocked this.
Manual depot uploader unlocked. Storage dimension and pocket dimension now connected both ways and stable. Parts can now be uploaded to the storage dimension directly from the inventory. Note: the storage dimension now understands the boundaries of the pocket dimension and recognizes the distinction between matter belonging to the Pioneer's inventory and matter belonging to the Pioneer.
The window within the window within the shallows within the deep, curling around itself separately, echoes strangely.
I'm sure
All right.
strange is the correct term for what this must feel like to you.
Alright, cool. So we have that, which means now we can save a lot of space. So we can put all of those in. We can put all of these fancy things that we don't actually need, aside from for, what's it called? Hard drives in. And apparently the uploading is, yeah, it's just probably gonna take a while. So let's replace all that space with concrete. Alright, and as we get more concrete through, we'll be continuing to upload stuff from our inventory to the depot, which should help save us many inventory slots. Alright, there's the turbo motors in. I wonder if we can put like these things in. Probably. Let's put those in, grab more concrete. And I probably should have grabbed a couple stacks of concrete out of that before the stream, but I forgot. Alright, let's grab a Mercer sphere. Because apparently there's one right over here. It'd be rather silly not to grab it, especially since I just used 3 Mercer spheres. Be in the need for some new ones to replace them. If I ever want to get the fastest upload rate, I'm going to need so many Mercer spheres for that. Alright, there's also apparently a summer sloop over here. So I'm going to head over here and grab it. And surely it will just be nice and convenient and easy to find, right? Bet it's behind these rocks. Boom. Yes, there it is. Very cool. So we grab that. And there's another one over that way. And there's a Mercer sphere over this way. Not going to complain about more spheres. It's going to be underground somewhere, isn't it? Okay, I guess we are looking for a cave. This looks like it might be a cave. No, that's just a weird thingamabob. Is it underneath this waterfall? There better be something underneath this waterfall. Nope, just a disappointing gray wall. Alright. What else do we have in the inventory that we can throw into dimensional storage? I guess we can put in the power slugs. Like, I don't need those in my inventory. I just need to be able to throw them into a machine every so often. Yeah, the Mercer Spheres and Summer Sloops, sometimes they're underneath destructible rocks. You gotta look out for them. Alright, let's just grab that. Hopefully this cave entrance is like right down here, and we can just get in easily. Doesn't look like it though. Alright, I think we're gonna give up. We have a train to be building after all. So give me more stacks of concrete. And where is it? It should be plainly visible in the sky. Up around here. Yes, there it is. Gigantic floating platform, which we need to get up to. Hopefully I left a ladder. Hopefully I left a ladder. Alright, so we make our way over here. And we're in a radioactive area. Alright, there's gotta be something in this rock, right? Let's see. It's not scanning as a Mercer Sphere. It might be a power slug or something. Or it might be nothing. Seems to be nothing. That's a shame. Apparently nothing in those rocks. Weird. Alright, I see the ladder. And we just have to jet over and get onto the ladder. So up we go. And we're up. So we climb up the ladder. And then we keep on building this train with our blueprints. So we have a giant ring around the map. Now we just need to have shortcuts going through the ring so that you don't have to go all the way around every single time, because that would be very slow and inefficient. And then after that, we need to have a central collection point where all the resources go. And then we have to actually collect the resources, which is sort of the important part here. Alright, we're up here. We're going to go to blueprints. Get a rail blueprint. And we make sure to set it to blueprint auto connect mode. And off we go. Alright, placing blueprints. So this hopefully will be quick. We should have hopefully enough concrete. We definitely have enough steel, and we definitely have enough beams and pipes. We're never running out of those, I think. Unless there's an actual production shortage, in which case we might, obviously, but that seems unlikely with how little we use. So concrete is the limiting factor here. So we just run along and place all of these. And then once we're done, we're going to have to... I don't know if I'm going to wait to set up signaling until I have stations in, just so I know like what we're signaling relative to. But probably get to put in at least the basic stations and then run around doing all the signals all at once, so that we can figure out what the stations need for their signaling. Alright, just keep on placing. Concrete, please don't run short. should have enough concrete. It's really hard to tell how far away that is, but it looks like it's close-ish. Which means hopefully this concrete will last the rest of the way. If not, we'll just have to take another quick pause, which is fine. Just drop down, grab some Mercer Spheres and Summer Sloops, and then return. But it would be nice if it just worked. Alright. So, we go along. It's definitely getting closer. Definitely almost there. I hope. I hope this isn't just some illusion where it looks like it's getting closer, but it's not. Pretty sure it's getting closer, though. Alright. Yeah, definitely almost there. This should be enough concrete to make it. If there's any quicker way of placing these things, and not accidentally running off the edge as soon as you try to go fast. I think I just placed 2 of them. Yeah, I just placed 2 of them right on top of each other. Whoopsie. I have a hotbar for this, right? So, keep moving. And we're almost there. Alright. Alright, now we have to figure out the intersection, which I did this last time and I think it works, but I haven't actually tested it. So I think we need more space than that. So let's just have all of this as space. Alright, so we have the trains coming along this way, and they need to get over there, so that needs to branch out much earlier. So like that. Then we have the trains coming from there that have to go onto this, which goes in like that. So far, so good. Now we have to do this side, so we have the trains going this way, which go into there. And then we have the trains coming out here, which need to go this way. Alright. We have something that may or may not resemble a train intersection. And now, the signaling for this is, I believe, path signals going in. So there. There. Is that right? No, that's wrong. There, there, and one more here. There. And then we need block signals going out. So like there. And there. And there. Alright, now these signals are not happy. Why are you angry? Signal loops into itself. That's a path signal. It goes that way, which is just block signal and out, or it goes that way, block signal out, right? How does the signal loop into itself? Please explain. Maybe what we need is just like block signals back here, like there and there. And block signals over this way. So there and there. And no, that definitely has not fixed the problem. Alright, so you are angry because signal loops into itself. So you literally go 5 feet that way and hit another block signal. So you definitely don't loop into yourself. Yeah, definitely something is going wrong here. So, why is that block signal upset? Like, that block signal is perfectly happy, as is that one. Okay, maybe we need a block signal there. And no, that doesn't seem to be making a difference. Alright, what if I just took you out, put you right back in immediately? No, you're not happy with that. Okay, but that one is perfectly fine, despite being exactly the same thing. Theoretically. What? Huh? Why did that fix it? It literally doesn't... It shouldn't have made a difference at all. Alright. Okay, that's fine, I guess. Problem solved. Somehow. I guess maybe it was not happy about being, like, directly on this intersection here. It's gotta be that, right? Alright, well, whatever weirdness that was about, we have that. So now, the next thing we need to do is start up the other one, which I guess we could just like put train signals along here as we go, right? There's no reason not to do that. Gonna have to eventually, may as well be now. So I don't remember how far apart they needed to be, but it was pretty far apart. Let's put a train in to just see. So we have a train there, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carts, and that spans from this black dot 1, 2, 3. So basically like 4-ish, because this goes a little bit over and that goes a little bit over. Right, so I think we were doing 5 black dots in between signals, just to give some extra space. Alright, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those go in. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't remember how I was counting, if I was counting the first one or not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It should be good enough anyways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The joys of placing stations. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those go in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is definitely time consuming. 2, 3, 4, 5. So the problem is, like, I have to be counting, so it's hard to even like multitask and talk about something else. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we put that in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right before the turn. And then we're going to have the turn be counted as just one dot, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pop this in. Alright, so we're almost at the point where we're going to stop off and start placing the new track. I think that was 5. 5, yes it was. So, ooh, Clev Prof, thank you for the raid. Appreciate that. We are building a giant train, and we're currently putting signals in and trying to make sure we place them correct. Hello. Thank you for the raid. Yeah, appreciate it. So, what were you doing before this? And put more signals in. And put more signals in here. Let's go. And I don't know if that was 5 or not. Playing Satisfactory, working on an iron factory. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing some iron stuff after this, just to verify that the train network works. Testing with iron. 2, 3, 4, 5. So are you like early in the game, just starting out, or you've been going for a while? 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, put that on the wrong side. That goes there and there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one goes here. So yeah, we are building a giant train station because you got aluminum in an offline world that broke your brain, so you started fresh. Yeah, I did that too. I got up to around aluminum before I started streaming. So yeah, currently I am I'm building this giant train network because the goal of this save is to just build like large quantities of everything. So my sort of default value is I'm going to be going for 10 machines of whatever I'm producing, which doesn't sound too bad, but it's actually a lot. So I need a gigantic train network to get all the resources across. And so that's what I'm doing now. Alright, so get more of these in. And we just keep going. Yeah, making the factories aesthetically pleasing is a very big goal. I have no idea how I would go about doing that. It's something that I want to do at some point. Like, at some point in this world, I'm going to try to make a pretty looking factory, but for now, they all just sort of look like that. Which, you know, at some point I'll fix. Being high up in the air like this is great because you can just like look down and get a vantage point on everything whenever you want. Yep, I'll do that at some point, which means it'll probably never get done. But yeah, it'll definitely happen. If not this world, then at some point, definitely. Alright, I think I lost track. Doesn't really matter that much. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, that is true. Having a chat around can definitely help keep you on track. All right, so keep on going. And we keep on going. Alright. Let's see here. I think I'm going to take a break from signaling and place more rails. So I want to get to like the middle-ish, like around there. Because this loop is very large. And if you have a giant loop like this, it'll take the trains absolutely forever to get all the way around. So I'm making shortcuts through the center, which will help a bit. It's not going to help a huge amount because it's still going to be pretty large loops, but that's what just having more trains and train stations are for. So we'll head over here. And this is central-ish. Yeah, should be close enough. Maybe just a bit further, like here. Oh yeah, thanks, no problem. Alright. So now we just place the foundations. And then we run over here to place the rail. So that goes in. Alright, so we need that to go like that. And then we also need this to connect up to here. Railway is too long. Well, let's get at least most of the way and then just do that and it's no problem. Alright, so now if we want to go along that way, we can come from either side. That's correct. Alright, then this one is the output, so it has to curve around into here, which is too long to do apparently. So let's try pulling it from this side, see if that helps any. It does, for some reason. Don't know why, but or whatever. So we have that. And then we have just that, right? Like, just goes out to there. So now the output. Alright, I think that works, and now I just have to redo the signals. So this becomes a path signal going in. That's the block signal going out, which is fine. Then this gets a block signal going out and a path signal going in. And then that gets a block signal going out. This needs to be a path signal. Alright, and all the signals are good except for that one because it just points off into nothingness, which we will fix by placing this rail. Alright, so the rails all go in. And we just drag this along. Alright. And we just go place in. And we go place in. And I just realized I haven't been filling my inventory up with concrete, which means that probably going to run out pretty soon. Which I guess means we'll just have to drop down and go spear hunting again. Although maybe we'll just make it to the halfway point off of this. I can hope. We could, like, I guess, like, intentionally slow down and make sure that the dimensional storage is keeping up. And that seems like that would take ages. So I'm not going to do that. We're just gonna place efficiently, and then we can use the spare time to hunt for collectibles if we need to. Alright, placing the railways. And placing the railways. Alright. And we keep on building. And we keep on building. Alright, we are about to run out of concrete. We're almost at the halfway point though, which is pretty cool. And so this spot we're coming up on is going to be like approximately the center of the map. Yeah, just about. I think the center of the map is technically that lake down there, but this is like within margin of error. That's fine. Now, I guess while we wait for concrete to refill, we can go back to placing signals. Need so many signals. An absolutely staggering number of signals need to be placed. Although we are like almost halfway done with the main loop of signals, and that didn't take too long. Alright, so we have to get back here. This is where the signals are. We get back here and we start placing. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. please place it on the other side. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There and there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And place those in. And we just keep going. Alright, so the signals all go in. And this really is just going to take ages, isn't it? 4. Yeah, okay, we have to go to this one. 'Cause I tried to be a good streamer and talk instead of just counting to 5 repeatedly and instantly lost count. Which, you know, is... You start to understand why streamers that play, like, difficult competitive games are often very bad at playing the difficult competitive games. Because, boy, multitasking is hard. And I'm just, like, trying to multitask counting to 5, not, you know, play a fighting game or whatever. Alright. So then we get these ones in. And we are filling up the old dimensional storage with concrete. And we don't have that much more of this to place. Like, at least not on this gigantic scale. Like, we have... Okay, I have to put in the next one for this. Like, we have smaller scale rails that we're going to have to go around, like, the individual biomes. But, like, as far as the gigantic continent spanning thousands upon thousands of concrete using railways, should be most of the way done. I know it's... I know now that I've said that, I'm going to realize some massive task that I need to do, and it's going to end up using way more concrete than I expected, and I'm going to look foolish, but that's what you get for doing this. Alright, was that 1, 2, 3, 4. So these ones get signals. And then we're gonna just ignore this. So this is eventually going to be the site of, like, a giant roundabout type of thing. Actually, we should probably build a roundabout, right? Like, it would be kind of silly to have this, or maybe just like a 4-way intersection would be fine. I don't know. Let's see if I can figure out the old 4-way intersection. It shouldn't be... Like, it should just be 2 T intersections next to each other, right? Which isn't exactly simple, but shouldn't be horrifically complicated. Alright, so... I think we have to... This is too much concrete. We want the sides to be relatively close. And actually, we do need it to just pass straight through. So that's also a thing. So let's get rid of this. Alright, so all of these go out. And then we are going to have to hop over here and dismantle that one. And then put this right back in. I don't know exactly how... Actually, I do want this to be aligned properly, right? So this is going to be, so it's a dark one, then 1, 2, 3, then a dark one, 1, 2, 3. So that would be a dark one. These aren't even lined up fully. That's fine. So we have that one, 1, 2, 3. We have that one, 1, 2, 3. So then that would be a dark one. Can I just, like, actually... How did I even do that? Like that? Yeah, I think like that. And so then we get that in, and it continues along. But that doesn't line up properly. Alright, so that does line up properly, but it isn't going to line up properly with this one, which I guess is fine. It's technically just fixing the problem, right? Like, stop, like, recentering it for the other side, probably. Alright, so those go across. Now we need, so now we have the bit that goes straight across. We need to have access to all of those. So this one needs to go to there, and it needs to go to there. Alright, then this one needs to come from here and it needs to come from over here. Too many switch positions. I see. Okay, that's a bit of a problem. Right, because these can go left, right, and center. Wait, no, this should be... It should be this one that I'm connecting to, right? Alright, so we have that, right? So this goes along, it can go over there, or it can go straight. These intersections. I feel like there's a better way of doing these, but I don't know it. And I'm also not entirely sure that this way even works at all to begin with. But I'm sure it'll be fine. So this one goes along to that way, or the other option is for it to go all the way over there. Then this one needs to come from over... What does this have to do? So it needs to come from here, right? That's the near one. And then it also has to go over to this one. Alright. Massive, complicated intersection has been placed. Does it work? I sure hope so. If it doesn't, I'm gonna be sad. Alright, now we just put signals on all of these. So you get a pass signal. All the right side ones get pass signals. All the left lanes get block signals. Alright, then we go here. And you are a pass signal now. Congratulations. And then block signals. We have one there already. We need to put one there. And we need to put one there. And we need to put one there. I just realized I could have been filling my inventory with concrete this whole time, but I forgot. Alright, so this should theoretically be a functional intersection. And if this works, it'll be a small miracle. I don't know actually. When I had the idea of using a roundabout for this, which really would be much better than this giant mess, then I could have just like had the network hub as like one of the branches off the roundabout, whereas with this massive intersection, that isn't an option because there are already 4 things here. I don't want to put a five-way intersection. What even is that? So let's worry about that later. We can just stick it on one of the branches, or we can rebuild all of that and just make it a roundabout anyways. That won't be too terribly difficult. So let's just start bringing these rails along. And we should have enough concrete for it. We have like 3,000 concrete in our inventory. And the dimensional storage is still working overtime. So we just keep on placing. And yeah, the more I think about it, I think it is going to be important to go back there and just make that a roundabout, because I really do need the ability to just have the extra branch off of it, and potentially even multiple extra branches off of it, although I think just one would be necessary. Also, I'm not sure, but I think that roundabouts are better for pathing, potentially. I think with a roundabout you make the whole thing one block, right? But because you're using path nodes, like a whole bunch of trains can go in there at once. I think that's how you're supposed to do it. Not entirely sure, but I think. Alright, so this just keeps on going. Eventually we reach the other intersection over here. Or we run out of concrete first, which seems like it's what's going to happen. We're not that close, and we're pretty low on concrete. So we just keep on placing these. We're going to run out soon, but make every bit of progress you can before you run out. Alright, so all these go in. And just about to run out of concrete. Alright, we get one more in. Alright, and now it's time to start putting signals along this line again. So let's head back here. Technically, I could start from here and work back this way, but the alignment might mess up slightly. Like, we might have one really short block or one really long block, which doesn't hugely matter. But, I don't know. Not, like, the entire purpose of this is that I have to wait while doing something else, so being slightly more time inefficient doesn't really matter. Alright, so we head on over this way. And alright, so then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So those go in. Please line up properly. It's so weirdly difficult to get them to line up properly, like, and not face the wrong way. Feels like there's got to be an easier way of doing it. Like, I'm in like build mode right side, but it does literally nothing. I don't even know what the build mode for this does. Like, it doesn't. Oh, it's just which way it goes on, like, visually. Yeah, I don't care about that. Alright, so there we go. And we get these in. I have to aim at like a very specific spot in order to get it to face the way you want it to face, which I don't understand. Why can't it just be a simple thing? Alright, keep on going. And keep on placing. And fill the inventory up with concrete to keep the dimensional storage going. And place those. Alright. Keep on going. So yeah, the goal is to make this giant train network, and eventually, hopefully today we can get something hooked up onto it. Like, even if it's just something basic. Like, some basic iron factory. Like, I think we are technically missing, like, rod production at mega scale speeds. So if we can just get, like, anything like that onto this so that we can confirm that it works, and that would be cool. Alright, so all those are in. Concrete in the inventory is up to 1,500, which is not incredible. Not incredible at all. But we have finished putting all of these on. Let's just look over the edge. Where are we? Right by the swamp. I think I've been here hunting recently-ish. Probably not gonna find anything here. Oh, I can throw some stuff into the dimensional depot. Let's do that. Just clear out the inventory a little bit. Don't need those two categories of things. I don't need that. I don't need all these stacks of heavy modular frames. I kept picking them up at crash sites because, like, technically I haven't made a factory for them yet, but I really don't need them. We can throw those in there. That bought a couple seconds of Dimensional Depot working. I imagine we're going to be too high up to scan for anything, even if it did exist. Alright, we can put up the man and see what hard drives we have. We have like an inventory slot one, right? Yeah, so we have some spare hard drives. We have all the currently available options, so let's just pick let's just pick some inventory slots. And pure Caterium is something I'm obviously going to be using at some point. And then put another hard drive to get the things that those used up. Any of the rest of these? Super tempting. Polymer resin recipe is like weirdly useless for how incredibly valuable the heavy oil residue recipe is. Alright. Concrete is now doing fine. Should last long enough. At least make significant progress. And then we can put the signals in that significant progress and just rinse and repeat until this is done. Alright, all these go through. I really wish I had like 20-ish more Mercer spheres so I could get the upgrade, because if this were going like twice as fast, I would hardly ever need to stop. Right? Like, we're already getting like a quarter-ish of the concrete each cycle. If we could just double that again to like a half, it would be great. Alright. Looks like this is going to make it to the other side. So we just have to get all the way over there and then do another intersection. Alright. Now we're here. We cover this last little gap here with just regular old concrete, and we set the intersection up. Let's see if I can do this right. So this one has to go into there. And this one needs to go into here. Right, so that's sort of the easiest way of looking at it. It's like 2-to-1 intersections are simple. Then this one needs to go into here, and it's just like a couple of them. And this one needs to output to here. And gosh, the T intersection is so simple compared to the 4-way intersection. Alright, now we do the signaling. So this gets path signal. This gets a path signal. And this gets a path signal. Alright, then we put in the block signals, which are there, there, and there. Alright. We're having that same loops into itself problem again, probably. Which I think is probably just like scooch these block signals back a little bit. And it's just the path signals having that problem now. Alright. How about you go... Yeah, how about you just go like back here? Like that. Alright, that didn't help. Maybe I have to do that with all of them. So you get out of that and come back here. And suddenly they all work. Cool. So it is just a problem of, like, you have to make sure that the signals come before the intersections, not after them. Alright, that's easy enough to remember. Alright, so with that, the main bulk of the placing is done. So we have all that. So now we just need to, I say just, but we need to finish up the signals. And I'm going to leave the signals for another day, I think. Maybe not another day, maybe like at the end of the stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run into the center here and make it a roundabout, and in that roundabout put in a 5th spot where the hub goes. And once we have the hub, then we can go grab some resources and see if we can send resources to the hub. And as long as it's only one train, the fact that this is like 30% signaled should not matter. So that won't be an issue. And then I guess really what we need to do is we need to have a second train as well, which is going to go to the output. And I think the factories are going to be... Oh gosh, see, the question is, like, how many trains am I anticipating needing? Because if the answer is one of each resource type, then I don't really need to worry about it. I can just, like, stick the factories off of this and be fine with it. If the answer is even, like, 2 of each resource type, suddenly we really need to be careful about congestion, and then having the factories like on their own separated little mini line could be handy. But I think we're probably just going to rely on this to be enough. And if we have to separate things out later down the line for congestion purposes, we can do that then. Alright, so for now we need to make a roundabout out of this, which, do I want to like put it in blueprints or... No, I think just freestyling it should be fine. So let's go out. That's the intersection, right? So let's go out like this. This is going to be the first one after the intersection. We're going to go out like 3. So we're going to go out to like here and build some foundations out. And we're going to do the same on the other side. So this should be approximately square. Might be a bit of a rectangle, but that's not really an issue. Like, it could be a circle for all that it matters for this. It is called a roundabout after all, so it's probably expecting to be a circle. Alright, so we have this. And then we have this one. So we go over here, and we go 3 out, and line up there, and line up there. Alright, so we have this whole thing, and these things that I've placed almost but don't quite line up. So, the important thing is to get these curves in. That's a curve there. Then we get this one in, and it goes around and it's too long. Alright, so it can go there. And then we go here. We get this curve. And it goes around there. Something like that. Again, doesn't really need to be perfect. No one is going to be judging this on how perfectly circular it is. Although, of course, with that said, I am streaming this live to the internet, so somebody is probably going to judge this on how circular it is, but that's fine. So that goes in. And we should have sort of all the, like, the basic curves of the roundabout. So now we bring this along over to here. And then connect it up to that one. And just have to do the same for the other ones. So they get these going across. And that one is long enough to actually fit, just because of how that one lined up. Then we get this one, and it comes across. And it stops like there before finishing. And then one more, and we will have a nice little closed loop here. Alright, so this then goes across. Like that, and in. Alright, so we have this nice circle-ish thing. Now we just have to dismantle the rails of the main thing. So those all go apart, and we just have to put them into this circle. So you loop in like that, and then we get around here. And this one loops in like that. And we just have to put all these in and then put the outputs in, then we'll have our roundabout. So that goes in. One more input into the roundabout, which is this one. We need to disconnect all these real quick. And in it goes. Alright, so those are all those. Then we need to attach these up, which is, of course, easy enough. We just go bam. And now the question is, will this singular roundabout be good enough to keep up with all of the train traffic? I sure hope so. If not, we can... I mean, there are probably some things we can do to mitigate it if it becomes a problem, but I'm just going to hope that it isn't a problem. Like, any train going through here should theoretically be going... Like, it shouldn't be stopping here for any reason. And if trains are passing through without stopping, especially in a relatively large space like this, you can get a whole lot of them. Alright, is that all of them? Probably not. Definitely was not. Yeah, no, definitely still have to do this one. Also, this one is still somehow connected. I could have sworn I'd, like, had by this point disconnected all of them. But Apparently not. So, in it goes. Alright, so now we have this whole giant loop. And we just need to set the signals around here. So path signals going in, block signals coming out. So you get a path signal. Oh, hang on, I need to put a block signal there too. It doesn't have one because I hadn't finished that yet. Alright, now we go around here, and all these are going to need to be upgraded. Alright, so now we get around here. You're a path signal. Then we go around here. Gosh, the rail's not rendering, despite only being like 5 feet away, is somewhat distracting. So you get a path, and you get a block. And I think that's the signals done. I sure hope so. Okay, now we just have to take one of these corners, let's say this one, and turn it into another exit from the roundabout. So we just, you go in there, I guess. And so this needs to go into the roundabout. This needs to come out of the roundabout, which is apparently too difficult. Alright, so we can just fix that by getting rid of that, placing that one in there, and that should leave plenty of space for a sharp turn. Alright, so now they go into the roundabout that way, out that way, and all should be well. So now we just put in a path signal there, a block signal there, if it would please just under any circumstances face the other way. Please. Why is it so finicky? Alright, there we go. Alright, so now this is going to be our resource hub. So let's go, I guess, a little bit this way, just so that there's some railway in there, you know? Can't have it be too efficient, gotta keep them on their toes. Alright, now we need to have just a T intersection here where the actual station itself will go. So that can go like here-ish. And I don't know, something like this. Exact spacing is sort of whatever. Something like that is fine. Now we put that in, which is still going to be necessary. Alright, so this is the output, and it goes that way. This is the input, and it comes from there. So if you're a train that wants to pick up iron ore or deposit iron ore, you go in here, go that way, you come out that way, and you're done. Is there actually a need for these iron trains to then go out this way? I don't think so. I think this path is just strictly going to be for the other types of resources. So, we have the iron here. Then we're going to have coal and copper and all of those other stuff over along this way. So this is the path the iron comes in on. Now, what do we do with the iron? Well, we have to get it into potentially a row of train stations. So, I think we go just like one more over this way to give some space. You can never have too much space, unless you completely run out, in which case you have too much space. But aside from that, you can never have too much space. But what I think we need to do is expand this out this way. And put in... Gosh, how do I even, like... So the train station goes there, let's say. No, the train station needs to go even further forward because we need the freight platforms. This is actually going to be kind of hard to line up. I guess. Do we put it in? So here's the problem, is like I need to fit, what I'm trying to do is have the train station branch off of this, output that way, and then go onto that line. And I just need to get them to line up properly to do that. And also, this is going to use a lot of space. And we actually do have this right there to worry about. So, fortunately, we're only making these train stations like five cars long, right? So it shouldn't be a huge issue, but it might be a small issue. So if we put train station in here, and let's get freight platforms. Hello? Alright. I think my 7 key may have simply failed. No, it's definitely working. Alright. Don't know what that's about then. I would love to bind the freight platform to the 7 key. And I have succeeded. Cool. Alright, so then we have 1. Please line up. 2, 3, 4. Alright, we need this to be even further forwards. So this goes like here. And then all of those foundations go in. Then we take out the train station. And we move it up to be in this line, which shouldn't... Oh, we were off center slightly. That's why it wasn't cooperating. Alright, so how far forwards can we push this? Theoretically all the way off the edge. But this is as far forward as it'll go while still being on that platform. And we do need to run a track along this way to hook up with that. So we can't just like use infinite space here. Alright, then we have to take these freight platforms down and rebuild them. 3, 4, 5. Alright, so that should be plenty of space. So if we need more iron stations, we can build them in this area here. If we need more stations of other types, we can build them in this area here. So then we tear that down. We send this railway just sort of along. And then we hook that up. And let's call this Iron Hub. Iron Hub 1. There we go. And then we have to take this track, loop it around, and connect back up to that. Which, again, because we might have more rails going along here, we are going to set this up so it sort of goes like that. And I don't know how far, because I do need this to turn, right? So this needs to turn over this way. But we do need to leave some space for the loading and unloading, which is on that side. Now we can obviously always shift that so that most of the work there goes up or down a level so that it's not in the way. So it's not a huge problem. So now we just take that train track, alright, then this also has to pass through because other trains going to different resources might need it. Alright, so we have that. And then this just has to hook up to like here maybe. And good. Alright, so that is that. That's the station all hooked up. Now we just need to do the signaling for this. So we have... Gosh, how does this signaling even gonna work? So we definitely need block signals over there. Does this need to be a path signal? I think so. Which means that needs to be a path signal. And then, of course, the path signals are going to be upset because there's the station. So let's... I mean, this is definitely going to need to be... And I think this can just be a block. So then we have that returning. And this. Alright, so that's a bit confusing. But it's definitely not happy at the moment. Because it loops into itself, of course. And this time I think it probably does loop into itself. Alright, so that block signal, we need to be careful. This is what I discovered last time, is you need to make sure that the signals are before the junction, not after. So then we have that one, which is just fine. And we need a block signal here, which it would be nice if it were willing to place it. But it isn't, so I guess we're just legally obligated to not do that. Oh wait, I think I saw it flicker there for just a second. Alright. Well, let's extend that out then, and now that can go in. Alright, so that's a block signal, and obviously just goes to the end of the track and dies. Now this goes into the station, which I normally give stations their own unique little things, like so. So now this whole loop is a block, except... Oh, except I cleverly never actually connected this up to that, which is very important to do. So that goes in like that, and oh, I kind of hate that. But it should be fine as long as we signal it properly. Now this is a block signal, but I think it actually needs to be a path signal because it's going into the whole purple mess. Alright, you are going to the whole purple mess, so I think you need to be a path signal. You are a block signal which seemingly does nothing. Because that section over there, back here, is purple. And so it's all connected with this. Alright, I think we need a path signal there. So that does something. That makes this whole section work. Obviously, it dead ends. So now we just have this pink shenanigans here, which still loop into itself. Conflicting entry signal types. Okay, that's fixable though. So if I just make you a block signal. I'll just make you a block signal. Alright. This might work. Something in here might cause a deadlock. But it's probably fine. It's probably fine. We'll have to see, of course. But we have it all set up. So that's cool. Alright, so we have those. So now we have the iron hub. We actually need to power up something on this whole grid, which we'll get to eventually. Are we directly above? If we're like directly above a factory, which we are actually, I guess I can drop down and power it up from here. It makes sense to do. Alright, so just bring a ladder down. Then you need a power line, which can come out to like there. And we need a power tower to get enough distance, which can be like there-ish. So that hooks into that, then that just goes straight down there. And now we have, technically don't even need the ladder, we have the world's most vertical power line. I do want to make sure the ladder works just in case something goes wrong with the world's most vertical power line. Although I think ziplining even straight up is faster than laddering. I'm not sure. We might have to do a time trial on that at some point. Alright, we climb down. And we climb down. Keep on going down. Keep on going down. And just about at ground level by this point. A little bit further to go. And now we're in a tree. Alright. So here we are. We just take that, hook it up to that, and that spike looks like that was the train getting hooked up. Alright, so that's that. Now let's test if the world's most vertical power line actually works. It's going to be very funny if it does. It's going to be the weirdest zip line ever if it works, which it might not. Alright, please, 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 please. Alright. No, it doesn't seem to work, unfortunately. Maybe this one? No. Alright, can't zipline straight up. Things you learn. I wonder what the limit is on that. Let's grab another stack of fuel. We're running low-ish. Alright, so now we just need to go somewhere and hook up a train and see if it gets there. So I guess before that, we should actually, like, at least have a box or something for it to output into. So let's climb all the way up here. Just put down an industrial storage crate or something. Maybe... So here's the question, right? Do we want to sink? The upside of sinking any excess raw resources is that it's very helpful for knowing if, just like Lance, if we have enough production or not, right? We just look at it and we see, oh yeah, some of it's going into the sink. That means we have spare. Whereas the downside is that this could conceivably be up to 10 max rate belts. That's a lot of sinks. I think for now, at least, we're just going to set up, because this is all very experimental, right? So we're just going to set this up like just like that, I think. And probably won't need a sink, although we are going to probably need to send this up a layer when we actually do the real thing. Alright, and that's another question. we need to set all of these to unload. Is it possible for trains to stop here and like decide individually what they want to do? Because I would really love to have some trains dropping off iron here and other trains picking up iron here. But we might need to deploy it into a second train station for collection. Which wouldn't be terribly complicated. I mean, we set this whole thing up so that you could access a bunch of different trains easily. It would be mildly inconvenient, though. For now, we're just going to assume that it works this way. So we have that. We have our test box. Now we just need to go somewhere far away. Let's go to the Dune Desert, because I happen to know that there's a ton of iron in the Dune Desert. So if we just head northeast, we will make it over there. And also, now that we have this whole thing powered up, we don't need to worry about bringing power lines everywhere, because whenever we place a station, the station will carry the power with it. Shout out to that random inconspicuous coal plant, which is like completely pointless, but its power line happens to be the thing connecting basically all of our future production to the grid, which is incredibly funny. Alright, so we head east, then we head north, and then we'll be in the Dune Desert. Alright, so off we go. And it's a bit of a journey. Hypertube cannons, that's what I need. I need to build a hypertube cannon, or 2 or 3. Yeah, I think I will do that actually. Like, I'm going to set up this whole iron thing, and then I'm going to also just place down a blueprint designer and make a hypertube cannon and then launch myself over. Alright, now we're heading north. Should be on our way towards the Dune Desert. And yeah, I can see it to the right of the path. So we just head on over here. And then set that up. Alright, I lost all of my momentum for some reason, don't know why. Must have messed up the timing somehow. But we're moving again. Alright. We are now comfortably above the Dune Desert, and we can look down and see all of the various nodes down there. So, we need to go over there somewhat. That's too much. That's too far. How do you... Yeah, so we need to dismantle all this, because we are going to be placing rails. Ooh, lag. I wonder what that lag was about. It's not like my inventory is full or anything. Alright, so this should be enough space. And we put in a two-way rail blueprint. Alright, so then this comes in there. And goes out. Wait, is that correct? No, that's not correct. So that can go in there or there. This one can go out there or there. Then we get path signal, block signal. And we get block signal, path signal, please go there. And then over here, and we get path signal, block signal. So now everything's working except for the one that's pointing into the dead end, which won't be a dead end for long. So this can be much easier because we probably only need one train station here, at least off of this branch. So let's just fill all of this space in. Then we get a train station. Can I just put this there on the hotbar? Because at least in the short term, I'm going to be placing a lot of these. So that can go there and just output directly into that. Then this train track is going to have to go around. And then we have 1, 2, 3, and we fill all this stuff in. We give it some more space. Train stations are so big. So we have all the space in the world. And then we go 4 and 5. Alright, now this loops around here. Turns too sharply, not anymore. So this goes up this way. And I mean, we need it to do a bit of a curve. And then go in there. Alright. So this is Dune Desert Iron. Alright, so we have that. And it should be just all set up as it is. Yeah, that all looks normal. Don't see any yellow warning lights. Alright, now we grab a power line off of you, upgrade it to a platform. Okay, we're too far up even for the power platform to make it all the way down. I guess that's not terribly surprising. Alright, so we have to just ladder down. And I guess we're probably going to have to, like, wall down in order to fit the power line in. Because we're going to have to, like, build a platform off of the wall that it connects to. And then we're going to have to build world's largest Mark IV belt, which just stretches across the entire planet. I actually think I might just do Mark III belts. Yeah, so this comes all the way down here. We're only going to hook up like one node here, just because this is purely just a trial run. Once we confirm that everything is functional, then we're going to be doing more. Alright, so this this is a comedically long ladder, because the dune desert is very low. The pink forest that we were above previously is much higher, which means that the ladder wasn't nearly so bad, but out here, it's very noticeable how insanely long this takes. We are making our way there bit by bit. And obviously, once we don't have to stop every 5 seconds to place another ladder, it'll be quicker. Alright. Now we ought to be... We ought to be here now. Ooh, a purple power slug? No, just a blue one. Oh well. I guess I'll grab it. Okay. So that is a random iron node. And it is pure. Love to see it. So we pop Miner Mark II. And we're going to overclock it so that it's a full belt. And I guess up you go. We're going to have to figure out how to deal with that soon. Alright, so the ladder is all the way down. And let's get a setup for the power tower, which this is going to be somewhat cursed, but that's fine. So we have a wall going up. Probably only have to go up 2 or 3 zoops, but we're going to go up a significant distance. And keep going up. And hopefully this should bring it to be high enough up that the power tower up there can see it. So up we go. Up we go. What an incredibly weird looking little thing that I'm building here. It's not even like aligned to the world grid or anything. It's just sort of there. Alright, this ought to be high enough. Feeling pretty good about this being high enough. So let's put that in. Put that in. And then that can go down to the ground. And this can go up there. Alright. Yep, that's all hooked in. Now I just have to get this connection to the final 5 inches. There you go. So now this should be turning on. Yep, it is. And should see any second now. Yep, there we go. Alright, now we just need to get this all the way up there. A hilariously long distance by Mark IV belt. This is where having like vertical trains would be nice. If only. We need to make sure to manage the belt so that this goes in approximately the right direction, because I want this to stay close and manageable. Which means bringing it over this way. Alright, keep on climbing. This is sort of the halfway point. and keep on sending the conveyor lift up. So technically I could use like the whole 2 floor hole thing to make these not be like individual short gaps like this, but it's probably fine, right? It's probably fine. Alright, so then we get up here, and we keep on going, and we're going to need to make an encased industrial beam factory, probably in order to keep up with this, because we're gonna have to do this for like every single resource we want to extract, and I do not have that many encased industrial beams producing at this moment, which is fine, because you know that's sort of the name of the game, is producing large quantities of things. So it'd be weird for me to not have large quantities of encased industrial beams. Alright, so here we go. Now it just goes up onto the foundation and in. And actually, on second thought, I think I want to test like all of these. So let's run this across. Let's just run that across to simulate having a bunch of different things in. And, you know, nothing like a good old manifold. Because, like, eventually, like, I need to have probably balancers in the hub to make sure that all of the cars have equal amounts of resources. At least for now, though. Just sending some resources along on each car is perfectly fine. Alright, so we have all that. Now we simply need to make a train to pick it up. So, transport. Electric locomotive. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freight cars. Now we get in this, open the train menu. We call the train Dune Desert Iron. Alright, we see both of these. That's good. So we put the timetable in. And is there any way to be more specific about what we go to? I don't think so. Alright. So we turn on self-driving. And off you go. And I think I'm actually going to ride with the train for this first trip, because I need to see what the trip is like. Make sure nothing is going horribly wrong with the few signals that I have. Alright, so we get all of the resources in. And yep, it loads up all of them. And then we're off. Alright, so we're going this way. And should just do like what? This leg, then that leg, then this leg, then half of that leg, then in. I'm surprised it wasn't quicker to go that way. Well, I hope the train knows what it's doing. Or no, is this the... Right, the intersection is here. I didn't realize we had passed the shortcut. If this is with the shortcut, then obviously this is the best way. I thought the shortcut was over there. Alright, so we're going to go here, we're going to take the shortcut, we're going to go around the roundabout, and we're going to make it. Alright, there we go. On to the shortcut. Nice, relaxing train ride, and this realistically isn't that long. Like, for the distance we're covering, this is pretty efficient. Not literally straight there, but it's pretty good. It's pretty close. Which is, of course, sort of the goal, right? We don't want to be giving these trains massive, long journeys. Whenever possible, we want them to be quick and efficient. Alright. So now we get to the roundabout, which, I mean, things aren't going to go wrong, right? Because there's only one train on the track, and it was able to make a path, which means there's not going to be any funny business. It wouldn't have started off if it couldn't get there. Just want to make sure that it does the right thing. So it should just immediately turn here, I think. So we go here. Go here. And here. And into the station. Alright, so we're in the station. Now we just hop off real quick, verify that the iron is actually properly deposited, and then we're going to hop on and see what the return trip is like, which should just be what it did here, but in reverse. Just taking the other path. Alright. Yep, there goes the iron. And now we hop back onto the train. And we're off. It's always nice to take a quick train ride. So we're going to have to go all the way around the roundabout for this. Which is fine, actually, because... yeah, this is fine. I mean, if we'd had this be an intersection, it would have probably been worse. Although probably not, because it would just be like on a branch of the roundabout. I don't know. Point is, it works. It's not that big of a deal. Gosh, we can see the... we can see off over there that horrific, like, gangly little monster over there, which is the Dune Desert Iron Supply. Alright, so yeah, looks like everything is working, at least with one train. So we need to finish up the signaling in order to let multiple trains be on this without having to wait for like genuinely like 5 minutes for a train to exit the entire section of the track. But should be functional. Our test has been successful. So now we just have to finish off the remains of the system. And we're back. Now, okay, here's the interesting question. How many resources are going to be in the train station when it gets there? Because I would like to know the max throughput rate of this, which I think it'll actually say... it might not say max, it might say actual, which isn't very helpful, because the actual is just going to be 480 across all of them. But yeah, it would be nice to know how much resources this can handle. But it's a pretty quick journey. Like, this was not more than a couple minutes. Maybe I should have had a timer. Alright, then we go around and into the station. Alright, so it filled up almost 2 rows, which, so that's 200, that's 480, right? And then half of it is going here, which was, so that's 480, half of it is going this way, which is like 240, and it filled up like a third of the station. Now, I think that means if we were feeding this, let's see, right, that's like a third of this, because we had like almost 2 rows, and there are 6 rows, right? So this filled up like a third of the station with iron. So 240 is a third of what this can handle, so this can handle 240, 480, 720, right? 720. Which is not terrible. Like for one freight platform at 720-ish. This, and we have 5 of them. So let's go 720 times 5. So this one station can handle like 3,600 iron, but would probably be more safe down at like 3,400, 3,300-ish, which is still, you know, that's a lot of iron. That's 3 times as much as I used for even the Versatile Framework Factory, which was the biggest by far. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. And I mean, that is like just a lot of belts, right? It's not quite 10 belts, but it's like 8 or 9. Which is pretty good throughput on this one station. And of course, train congestion simply does not exist here. So if we needed more throughput, we could just put down another one of these and another one of these, and basically have infinite throughput. Like, just 3 or 4 stations is more iron than I know what to do with. So that's pretty good. And then, gosh, I should probably be building signals. I have so much signals to build that I should be building them. Alright, so then we put the signals in. So there's not going to be any congestion ever at these stations. There might conceivably be congestion at the main hub if we have to upgrade production of a lot of different things by a lot, but even then, like, it should be pretty good. Like, I can't imagine there actually being serious problems. Pretty sure that curve is going to be long enough that is fine. So I think this should work up to like truly massive scales. Like maybe in the very late game when I'm trying to make, you know, 10 ballistic warp drive machines per second, maybe then we might have a problem. But at least for like the near and medium term, this should be more than enough. Which is a good sign, although, you know, the long term being potentially being an issue. I mean, we just have to, like, gosh, I don't know exactly what we would do, but there's got to be a way. Like, we can just add a second parallel track or something, and we can do something like that. Now, the thing that might conceivably be an issue is if we use separate trains for all of the factories, then the hub would probably get crowded. Like that roundabout is not infinite throughput, right? But I think we can just use like you know, one train until it's struggling to keep up, then add another one, etc. And then we shouldn't have that much problems. So yeah, I think our train network is going to work, which is a relief. Now, the last gigantic logistics system I made. Also, did I just count that horribly wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I did. I need one more there. So the last giant logistics system I made was, of course, the truck city, which definitely did not work the first time around, and it was kind of a giant nightmare of problems that I just hadn't foreseen. Hopefully, I don't have to do what I did then and completely rebuild the entire thing. Hopefully, at least, like, most of this is salvageable. Like, if I have to redo the hub, that's probably not that bad. If I have to redo the entire system, that would be bad. Alright, so those go in. And we just keep running along. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th one. So you get some signals. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You get some signals. Alright. So what problems can I foresee if there's just any way of fixing them now before they become a problem? That's obviously better. The congestion is going to be the obvious problem, but keeping track of where all the resources are could potentially be a problem. Like, I might need to break out ye old spreadsheet for that, which I'd rather not. I really like not having to think too hard about old factories once they're done. I might end up having to do that in this case, but I mean, theoretically, the trains that we do, so if we have one train that fills up like the first 5 factories, and then that train is capped out and can't do any more, and so we have another train, another station, etc. Like, everything connected to that first train and that first station should just work, right? Also, we're at the... Alright, so we're going to have one weirdly long block there because those two don't line up properly, but that's fine. So, as long as we... Like, when one thing hits its limit of throughput or whatever, we just shift to a new version of everything. Then everything that was relying on that previous one should theoretically be sort of like invincible and not get messed with by the new stuff. So it won't be perfectly individual, but it should be at least like you might have to worry about the last 5 things, but you're not gonna have to worry about the last 20 things. Is my point there. So that should be nice. Is there any way of being better than that? No, I mean, the potential for congestion to slow throughput down is a real one. Like, so if I have a factory that's just barely able to keep up, right, then I add 5 more trains on the line and it has to wait at a light every so often, then it might fall apart, which would be annoying. Is there... I mean, it all just comes down to congestion, right? And this isn't going to be like with the trucks, where we have, like, the roads were built incorrectly, and so there's, like, crashes and, you know, things going to the wrong stops. Everything is going to be nice and labeled, so that shouldn't happen. It is all just a matter of, like, what easy steps can I do to prevent congestion from getting bad? And I think that roundabout might need to be upgraded. So I'm gonna have to think about like the highest possible throughput for that exact spot, because basically every train is gonna be going on that roundabout basically every trip. And if I can just prevent that from being a true statement, like have half of the trains go somewhere else, the congestion should be not a problem. So one thing I could do is I could have like a two-way roundabout. Like I have that one which is going, I think, counterclockwise. If I just have like another roundabout that's going clockwise, like going the other way, then not only will that it will reduce travel time because you're not going to have to go around the entire roundabout. It will also just reduce congestion because there's going to be two possible roundabouts that trains could be on. Right? So that could be a helpful idea, although the signaling and getting all the trains lined up for that to work might be more complicated than it's worth. Is there any other way? I could... Yeah, I mean, I could use this just as the resource collection train line and have all of the actual production trains, like, from the hub out on a completely different train network, which could be much simpler, since I only need things to be going from a single predefined spot to train stations which could theoretically be wherever I need them to be. Like, it could just be a single line, for example. Now, the downside to that is, of course, it almost, not quite, but almost defeats the purpose of having all of this trains stuff here to begin with. Because, like, alright, there's that, which means we have another awkwardly long gap there, which is fine. Because if I do that, right, I'm going to have to go and I'm going to have to build another giant train line, and it's going to be easier than this one, because it can just be like a line down the middle or something that loops in on itself. But it still won't be completely trivial, and as long as I have this stuff, I may as well use it, right? Like, I want to get all the mileage out of this giant mega project that I can, which means not building another giant mega project that invalidates the need for half of it before it ever comes in. But with that said, of course, I can always do that later, right? Like, if I have 10 factories going and the 11th factory is going to have too much congestion to work efficiently, then I can just, like, elevate that and move it onto its own individual thing. So that's an option that I can do down the line if it becomes a problem. But I'm hopeful that, like, this is a lot of space, right? So the last time I really did gigantic train-based logistics was on my my first save that I did before streaming, and I had that loop only go around like a quarter of the world. Like, it went from like there-ish, across to there, down to there, and then over, and then back. Something like that. And that loop was fine, right? Like, it took me all the way up to, what, I think it was Nitrogen, before I just got burnt out of that world and stopped playing it. But I guess we're kind of a little bit starting to run out of space in that world. Now, on the one hand, obviously, so, and then to try to compare that to this one, right? So first of all, the loop is much, much bigger in this one. Like, it goes around the entire world instead of just a corner of it, which means we were going to have way more space to build stuff. Now, the counterpoint to that is, of course, we're building bigger, right? We're building literally 10 times the scale of what I was doing in that world, which I think technically, I mean, that was also like way more interconnected than this one, which means the individual builds are smaller anyways. So obviously that's all a consideration, right? The builds here that I'm connecting to this are going to be much bigger. And the counterpoint to that would be train stations are huge, right? Like, the bulk of the space was always the train stations in that world. And even in this world, the train stations are very big. So it's actually not that much bigger than you might expect. And of course, like, I can always just cheat on that space by building them above, right? So I can have multiple train stations for factories in close proximity if they need to be, and then just move the factories around a bit to fit. So I shouldn't run out of physical space. And that one I never really stress tested the throughput. Like, I never had massive quantities of individual objects. What I was doing at that world was like one train car per item of every item in the game. So I'd have one train carrying like 5 different like iron products, for example. Is this the spot that I need to go to? I think so. And that was very clumsy because I did not have a spreadsheet and I was constantly running out of stuff and not building enough production for things. But it never got anywhere close, like throughput limits, even for the basic things which you might expect, like iron ore and that stuff. It was never a problem. And I'm building way more efficiently in terms of how fast they can go. Like, that was single-way rail that time, whereas this is two-way rail. And alright, so that is the roundabout. So, long story short, like, I'm building with the intention of going very big here. I think it should be more than enough. Like, we did that calc earlier of like 3,300-ish items per minute on the iron one. And that was just based off of one full train station. So, theoretically then, just like, this should be fine. I shouldn't really need to worry about train congestion. Although I said that about trucks in the Blueprint City world, and I was completely wrong. So, you never know. Right? This, like, the thing with building at this scale is you run into logistic bottlenecks that weren't a problem before. So maybe train throughput will become a bottleneck. Hopefully not. Alright, we're almost done with this. So then we go into that, which is already pre-signaled. So I think all of the cross sections are now signaled. We just have to make sure that we have signals going around the entire outside, which I don't think we do, but at this point I've completely lost track of where I haven't placed signals. I keep just running into places that have signals and like, oh yeah, I guess they're there. Like that section. How did signals get there? I don't know. Did I put them there? Must have. Alright, so we're going to have to hop along, because there might not be signals on that line over there. Gosh, it's nice seeing a train just off in the distance doing whatever it's doing. It's going to fill up the train station eventually, of course, but as far as just like the science goes, that's a good success. And we will obviously be using it, right? Like, we're going to be connecting more iron up to that train station, sending more iron into the hub, and using that to power a factory. So I just need to make sure that all of these signals are in. And it's funny, like, at the same time, they're very close together and yet very far apart. Like, I'm slide jumping along this corridor like, dang, I'm passing one like every 5 seconds. Did I place these too close? And then I look at the ones on that one across over there, and they're really quite spaced out, aren't they? It's just kind of hard to tell. And, of course, I don't know if I've gotten all of them, but I'm hopeful that I have. It seems like maybe there might not be any past that intersection, right? Like, any intersection is where I may have turned and been like, I'm going to go down this way and place signals there now. So we do have to do a complete scan of the entire outside of the base, unfortunately, as somewhat annoying as it is. So we just run along here and do that scan. Alright. So far, so good. I haven't run into anything that hasn't been signaled in quite some time. So I'm going to get past this intersection, and I think I see the signals going past the intersection as well. Alright. Yeah, the signals definitely go way past the intersection. I think we might have finished signaling this somehow. I'm not sure when that happened. Like, did I do that? Even have it around that corner. Alright. I'm going to... well, probably... done. Actually, I might have missed the signals in the Dune Desert area. I'm going to go back, take the shortcut across, and see if I did those. And man, I talked about making a hypertube cannon, and I didn't, and I'm really regretting it. And in fact, I'm not anywhere near a power pole, so I couldn't even if I wanted to here. It's the bit of a shame there. Maybe the next task is to drag power poles along all of this in case I need a hypertube cannon somewhere. Alright. We do the old slidey jumpy. And I really hope that the Dune Desert has signals already. Just probably the entire east side of the map. It's either going to be all signaled or probably none of it's going to be signaled. Oh, there's a summer sloop high enough up to show up on the scanner. That's funny. Okay. So yeah, these train tracks are not connected to anything, which is why they show error. And now we just go down this way. And hopefully... I'm not seeing any signals in the distance. They might just not have loaded in, or they might be absent. Please say they just haven't loaded in. No, I think they're absent. I think they would have loaded in by this point. Alright, well, good to catch something that I otherwise might have missed. Or maybe? I think some of them are starting to load in now, at least around the intersection, but nothing other than around the intersection, which makes me, yeah, look at this. I stopped right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put those in. Alright, so I think as far as the next actual factory we go, which will probably be next stream, we were just going to set up like basic iron stuff, like, you know, I have I think I have plates producing 10. I don't think I have rods producing at mega scale. So just like random stuff like that. Rods and rotors and I guess screws, although I don't think I need them. There's a train. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll let you pass. Put all those in. And then that's that. So this is just going to be an unusually large gap because otherwise it's not going to work. Alright, then we have to do this whole line, and then we're going to have to wrap around to do the southeast side. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so we can just keep placing these in. And getting slightly better at splitting my attention and multitasking while still counting. Important streamer skills that you'd think I would have by this point, but I never developed for some reason. The ability to talk while doing something unrelated. Alright, so there we go. And we just keep placing these in. And I've instantly failed at talking. Alright. Almost at that spot. And hopefully I've done the signals past that point. But I'm not optimistic. I might have to do this entire stretch. But, I mean, we've made great progress today, at least. It's the sort of thing which is like, in the moment, repetitive. It seems like you're just doing the same thing over and over again. We've actually gotten a huge amount of different things done. We finished the cross section, we made the hub, we made a experimental resource node collection, and we're almost done with the signaling. So yeah, overall pretty good progress. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go here, and then alright, cool. We did in fact start putting the signals in past there, so that's cool, which means now we just get to turn around, slide jump this way, and get the southeast corner, and hopefully that'll be the last bit left to do. Alright, slide jumping along. So yeah, next stream we're going to set up rod production and rotor production and, I don't know, some other random stuff. Just stuff that uses only iron, just as an experiment to make sure that this works, and to get in the rhythm of like expanding it, adding in resource nodes, that sort of thing. Then once we confirm that it works with iron, then we're going to add in the other types of resources, which is probably going to be a whole stream in itself, because at that point we're going to know that everything is good, and it's just going to be a question of like getting full trains worth of all the different types of resources in. So that should be a fun thing. In non-satisfactory news, we are almost at a point where I'm okay being done with Foundry, and once that happens, I'm going to start up Factorio, which is obviously like the big factory building game that it's surprising that I haven't played yet. Pretty sure I miscounted that one, but whatever. I think I miscounted it too long rather than too short, which is fine. Alright, then we get those in, and don't place them facing the wrong way, that'll break everything. Alright, so excited to start Factorio. I'm not sure, you know, it might not be my favorite game ever. Just not 100% convinced on the like constantly fighting monsters section of it, but we'll see. Like, maybe I can even just set it on passive mode or something if that turns out to be too much of an issue, but I do want to try to experience the game as it's intended first, of course. And that's sort of my general philosophy with games, is that, like, I don't like to make changes, install mods, flip important settings around, etc., until I've actually played the game with the default settings, no mods, nothing, just because, like, you have to know what the game experience is supposed to be like before you decide that you don't like it or not, and change it. Like, the monsters might actually be one of the coolest parts of Factorio, for all I know. So that's something. As far as Satisfactory, that's what I did here too as well. Of course, I started with the enemies on hostile mode, and that was my first save offline, and then when I started streaming, I decided, you know what, I don't really care about the whole fighting monsters part of this game, so I set it to passive mode, and it was a good decision, but I wouldn't have felt good making that decision if I hadn't played most of the game with monsters on first. I actually think I did play a full game with monsters on. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think my first stream game, actually, before Blueprint City, was hostile mode. I distinctly remember streaming while slide jumping around, shooting monsters, and being like, wow, this is kind of annoying. Alright. This section is a big section. Sure is a lot of track down here that needs signaling. So all these signals go in. And... oh, nope, placed the wrong way again. It's encouraging every time I notice one, because it means I probably haven't missed any. Because if I miss even one and do that accidentally, it literally causes, like, the entire... like, that entire section of track becomes unusable until I notice it and fix it. Because it'll say, like, oh, this train is trying to go backwards. It can't go backwards. So it'll just stop it. And in this case, I think it would actually just even be worse, because it would just route it, like, around the other way. Which would be so much worse, because it would technically work, but it would be horrifically inefficient. But because it technically works, I would probably never notice that it had happened. Which would make it much harder. It would mean it would just, like, be a constant drain on the throughput of the network, and I would just never know why. Alright. We are almost there. I can see signals in the distance. Alright, 4 and 5, and those go in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that goes in. Alright. I actually think somehow, like, these streams having very little specific in-game stuff to talk about has somehow made me, like, work a lot harder at streaming, and I think I'm actually doing better at this than I was previously, so that's fun. Previously, I just only ever talked about what was going on in the game, and I never, like, you know, elaborated past that. But now, there's nothing going on in the game worth talking about, so I've discovered the ability to talk about other stuff, and hopefully I will carry that on into future streams to be more entertaining. But for now, we have finished all of the signals. So we have I'm pretty sure, at least. Unless I gave up like halfway through this corner. And we should have every single... Yeah, no, look at that. We can see them in the distance. All the signals are in across the entire map. So that is huge. Alright. So let's see. The next thing to do would be to set up a whole factory. And we're right about where I usually end the stream, so I don't want to start setting up a whole factory. Even if it is something relatively simple, like, you know, iron rods or something. I'm also going to need to... I guess that's what I can do now, is I can set up the hub to properly supply resources to trains. Because currently it accepts resources from trains, but then just sort of holds on to them forever. So I'm going to need a second station, which should be easy. I've designed this whole system to work with adding additional stations in. So I just need to add a second station in, and then transfer the resources from the first station to the second one. And the second one will be set to load the trains, while the first one is set to unload the trains. There's a train in there right now. Alright. Now the second station can't be over here, which is a bit inconvenient that all of the outputs are facing this way. I probably want to just turn it around. Like have all the outputs face that way, just for sheer convenience sake. Although, moving all of this massive amount of iron that's accumulated here in order to do that would not be convenient. I'm just gonna belt it under. Alright, so we get some space. How much space do we need between the two stations? Probably just like 2 platforms. And then we need this space for the second station. So we drag that all out. Then we hop out onto this. I don't know why I opened the menu when I have a hotbar currently active for exactly this purpose, but I did. Alright, so then that lines up to there, and I think it also lines up to the foundation, so we can just pop that in. And now let's fill this back. And it needs to go just like another row or 2 further. That should be enough. And freight platforms. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freight platforms. And these ones are all set to load the trains. And they're called this iron distributor. And distributor 1. Just for clarity, so I know it isn't the 17th one when I eventually have 17 of them, if that ever happens, which I will consider a massive success if we get to that point. Alright, so then that has to output onto there. Okay, I actually think... Yeah, so this is a problem. So these... I think we put block signals there. Because that way... the train stations aren't all part of the same block, which would cause all sorts of problems. Alright, so we need to run these 2 rails over there. Okay, actually, wait. I just realized something. This train track here is obsolete, right? I don't need this. Pop that out. Doesn't need to have a signal on it or anything. Because that train track has just been replaced by this one. So I can also take that little stub out. So yeah, that's fine. We can have that. Next, we have that. Connect into there. I don't know how I didn't realize that was unnecessary the first time around. I guess just because I hadn't... It's easier to tell what's necessary to connect the second train station up to when you're actually physically building the second train station. Alright, so then that gets a signal there. And yeah, this is all probably fine. This can all be one block. That's not going to cause problems. Because any train in that block is going to be immediately leaving it to get into the station, so... Shouldn't... I get, technically, if they, like, go over the back a little bit, but they shouldn't, because they're all going to be size 5 trains, and these are size 5 stations, so it shouldn't be an issue. Alright, so we have this. And a train could theoretically run in here, grab some iron, and then run out. And then we might have to deal with the fact that this is kind of a giant mess. Like, I do not love this. Yeah, let's fix that. It should be relatively straightforward to fix. We just get you going like that. And then so we have to propagate this fix all the way down the entire row. Like that. Alright, so we should have that fixed in time for this train to pass through. And then that just connects into there. And it all works. Alright, so that's that. Now I just need to get the resources from this train over to that one. So let's start by deleting that, getting that iron out of my inventory. And we're just going to... that. Yeah, so that is close enough to snap in, which is pretty cool. So we're going to place all of these on that line. Alright, then this has to extend out to here. And this goes down there as well. What on earth is going on here? Alright, so then these all go like that. And I could do... Why have I done this in 5? Now I have to do a 5 to 5 balancer. That sounds unpleasant. That sounds very unpleasant. I think I do want to do a balancer, though. Just because, I don't know, weird things could theoretically happen if I don't. I don't think it would be a problem, but it might be a problem. And it's better to just have it not be a problem by doing a balancer. But a 5 to 5 balancer, man, why do I keep doing this to myself? Like, I could have made these trains 4 long and had a 4 to 4 balancer, which is easy. But no, I just had to make them 5 long. I could have made my goal for production 8 machines and then had 1 to 8 splitters everywhere in all of my factories. But no, I just had to make it 10 machines and have 1 to 10 splitters everywhere in all my factories. I just keep doing this to myself. It's entirely my own fault. Alright, we need to get this side in. I think for now, for the sake of just the prototype, I'm not going to balance it. But once I start adding in like a significant amount of resources, then I am. Yeah, man, 1 to 5 balancer. And it could theoretically be worse. Like, if I use both inputs on this, which technically I should, then it would be a 1 to 10 balancer. It's outrageous. Alright. We're gonna worry about that next time. Probably next time, maybe even the time after that if I can come up with enough reasons to stall for next time. But for now, we're just going to build out this nice, convenient logistics floor. We are 1 billion miles above everything, which means there's no way terrain can ever mess with us, which is fantastic. I absolutely love not having to deal with stupid terrain nonsense. Like, even if I need another logistics floor under this, I can have it. If I need another logistics floor under that, I can have it. Like, just infinite space. It's wonderful. Alright, now these should just go straight across, right? They might have to shift a teeny bit over because they're going from the outputs and they're going into the inputs. But that is not a huge deal. Let's see, if I don't do a balancer, then I would need to do a balancer factory side for all of these. Okay, it's too long. It's annoying. That's a little bit annoying. Alright, so let's put in a 1 high wall with a quick foundation. And then I guess they're all going to stop on this foundation. So there we go. And it doesn't matter, they're going to have to adjust around a little bit anyways. Just get them approximately straight forwards. Alright, my goal of getting them approximately straightforward seemed to have failed. They're all weird and crooked. But that's fine, because they're also all connected. Alright, so there goes the iron across. And of course, it's not balanced. How would I balance it? Yeah, I mean, I am probably going to need, because like each one of these, I did the math and it can accept up to 720 a minute from this train, right? Which is more than a single Mark IV belt, which means in order to get the full throughput possible, I would need multiple of those, which means it's going to be a classic 10 to 10 balancer, which sounds not very fun. If I don't do that, then Yeah, so if the problem is, if I don't do that, I would need to constantly be balancing it on the factory side, which I guess is probably fine, right? Like, it would just be shifting it over so that, like, the leftmost belt is full, and then the next leftmost belt is full, and then the next leftmost belt is full, and then it would be fine. Like, something like that would probably be fine. Yeah, it's probably fine to not do splitters, because I might want the belts to be set up some other way from evenly distributed anyways, and just the fact that the belts are evenly distributed wouldn't necessarily mean I know how much is on each of them. So yeah, no, we're not going to need to be balancing between these two stations. We are going to be doing that at the destination. So with that, it is right about time to wrap up the stream. Thanks everyone for hanging out. The raid earlier reminded me that I need to be doing those. How do I even do those? Let's look this up live on stream. It'll be fine. Stream manager, maybe? Raid channel? Let's see here. I've just realized I have no idea who I would even want to raid, even if I could. Alright, it's fine. We'll figure that out for next time. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Make sure to follow me if you haven't already. I stream Satisfactory and other factory building games, currently Foundry, but soon to be Factorio, so if you're interested in that, make sure to follow, and I will see you guys then. Bye!